Good day, gentle viewers. In today's news, Soul Eater celebrates its 15th anniversary, some more delays and other anime announcements, an update to an English streaming service, plus a look at the seasonal rankings today. So without any further ado, I am Tristan Gallant. Welcome to Glass Reflection. Let's jam. An official Bones Twitter account has announced an upcoming event in celebration of the 15th anniversary since the release of the Soul Eater anime adaptation. Some of you youngins might not know about Soul Eater, and that's okay. Some parts of the adaptation were kind of mid. It didn't cover everything that the manga did because, well, at the time, the manga was still ongoing, and the series was continually overshadowed by Bones' other major releases, like Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist. When it was released, it was compared relatively favorably to Alchemist 2003, considering, both shows had an anime-only ending, but then it started getting compared to Brotherhood, and in that case, it was far less favorable, because Brotherhood was a lot better. Soul Eater itself might not make the top list of many people, myself included. However, if you told me to specifically make a list of my favorite shonen anime, then I could very much see myself placing Soul Eater somewhere in the top 5. It has flaws, yes, but there are just so many good things about it that I love that I just can't help but look back on it fondly. I also have this core memory of the series. Back in high school, I was hanging out with a bunch of people from the anime club, and this was around the time that we all saw the original announcement that the adaptation was being made in the first place. And I remember looking at that announcement and thinking, yeah, this will be the next big thing. And it was, for the time. I really think that people only started to forget about Soul Eater's existence after Brotherhood was released. And that one spin-off also came out and it was kind of a nothing burger for fans of the franchise, so yeah, we all just kind of moved on. But anyways, into speculation territory, Bones has not historically seemed to care all that much about anniversary dates for its anime. In fairness, the studio itself only celebrated its own 20th anniversary back in 2018, so this might just be the start of a trend. However, since Soul Eater is not an original adaptation for them or anything, because it is based off of a manga, it is quite interesting that they are bothering to celebrate it instead of, just leaving such celebrations to the manga anniversaries. Because of this, I would like to posit the possibility that this anniversary is, in fact, a potential setup for the announcement of a new Soul Eater adaptation. The demand has been there for a very long time. Soul Eater has been near the top of a lot of people's lists for a Brotherhood-esque remake ever since Brotherhood. It got that high up because it is a Bones show, and since Brotherhood was also a Bones show, it just seemed more likely than most. Not only that, but as far as the public knows about Bones' current anime production schedule, well, Mob Psycho just closed off its adaptation with Season 3, and My Hero Academia is ending its 6th season quite soon, so it is possible that Bones has an opening for a Soul Eater re-adaptation. Or it could just be a big nothing announcement with some celebratory, pop-up shop with limited merch in Japan only, or who knows, a pachinko machine. The Fire Force mobile game is also getting a Soul Eater collab, but that could also mean absolutely nothing because both Fire Force and Soul Eater share a mangaka, so that collaboration could just be because of the shared mangaka and not because Soul Eater is actually coming back in any meaningful way. I miss Soul Eater a lot, and having the chance to see it adapted again with today's animators and a proper ending, that would be great, but we'll just have to wait until April 7th. Nier Automata is getting delayed again. If you recall, back in January, Nier got delayed for a number of weeks back then due to The Thing, alongside a whole bunch of other anime at the same time. But since that delay happened, the show has since come back onto the air, also like a number of other shows. But now it's getting pulled off again. Personally, I would have preferred if they just, delayed the whole show until next season like some others have done, rather than continually do this stop-start kind of thing that they've been doing. But hey, I'm not the one in control. Officially, we do not have word on when the series will be back on the air, but considering we are getting very close to the launch of the spring season, things just might get pushed until then due to necessity. Apparently, the official website and Twitter account will be keeping us up to date with whenever they decide that Nier is going to go back on the air, but as of writing, they have yet to tell us jack. So now we wait. But while we wait, let's talk about some upcoming anime announcements. If you recall, I said that I was going to avoid going over any of these unless I considered them to be noteworthy. And I think I have one that is. Why is it noteworthy? 2 words. Absolute territory. The Japanese RPG game Altia Ryza is getting an anime adaptation later this year. Now, this franchise has been very busy celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and some may recall that earlier this year there was a Nintendo Direct that announced the remake of that franchise's original game title that I am quite personally looking forward to. But this adaptation is planning on covering the latest entry in the franchise's long history of games, and I can do nothing but praise this decision as we finally get this wonderful bounty of animation presented to us to enjoy. It helps that the game itself is also extremely good, and its protagonist is surprisingly great for an RPG franchise of this size. Ryza is great for a number of reasons, and not just because of her excellent character design. While I would love to be saying that the anime is coming out next month in the spring season, that is not the case, and instead the series is scheduled to launch in the summer season, so July is the earliest that we can expect it, assuming that, you know, like a bunch of other shows, it doesn't get delayed in the same way that Nier has. We can hope. Now, before we continue, I did want to give shoutouts to supporters of this channel over on Patreon, because yes, this video is not sponsored, and the more support that we get over there, the less sponsors that Glass Reflection will need at any given time. So an immense thank you especially to patrons like Ross Emerson, Omar Showman, Hector Montemayor, Wago221, Deluxe Flame, Sid Yamako, and Ryfan Bonaparte. You doing okay, Ryfan? Hope so. We cannot continue this without your support, so however much any of you are able to help, I am eternally grateful. Anime streaming service Retro Crush has announced that due to a major upcoming service update, some of its available titles might be unavailable as they perform server migrations and overall system changes. For those of you who have never heard of Retro Crush before, well, now you have. They focus far more specifically on older anime, think like pre-2000s old anime. The type of anime that the larger providers care far less about, but these are anime classics and they are superb. We are not sponsored by them, to be clear. I just love what they do, love what they offer, and honestly, even if there is a little bit of a blip in their service offerings, I can massively appreciate the fact that they are even bothering to perform updates and changes to their service in the first place, unlike some other streaming services that I could mention. If you've never checked them out before, I highly recommend it, especially if you are interested in anime that happened to come out before the new millennium. There are plenty of amazing shows on offer over there that could definitely take months and months to actually watch and get through if you are so inclined. And before we reach the end of the video, let's go over the anime seasonal rankings, thanks to our good friends over at Anime Trending. We are now in week 10, and according to Anime Trending themselves, we're going to be taking a week break as we are waiting for some of the anime to finish their final episodes. Before coming up with the absolute final chart for this season, we're nearing the end, we're in the end game. Let's see how things have turned out, shall we? Now, The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten is continuing its massive domination, which means that, yeah, I'm probably gonna actually have to bring that back into my watch list, despite having dropped it earlier. It's been in the top for far too long. I need to actually pay attention to it now. Vinland Saga got knocked down as single place, but that's not all that surprising, considering, you know, what it is. The massive shakeup from last week, which was Buddy Daddies getting dropped from in its top 5 position to off the chart entirely, has been fixed. That makes me wonder if there was like a blip in the voting that made it not show up when it was supposed to, but they're treating it here as a re-entry. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe people just forgot about it for a week, or that particular episode was just terrible. I don't think it got delayed. I didn't think it got delayed. I'm not sure why that blip exists, but hey, Buddy Daddies is back in the top 5. Good to see, good to see. Ice Guy has dropped down 2 positions. It's still not off the charts, but you know, it's been here in the top 10 list for every week since the start, which is very surprising for something that's been in the bottom 5. But the biggest drop this week, of course, has been Onimai, as it has gone down 4 whole spots. bases. But Nagatoro has come back onto the list, this being its second week in total that it has ever made it into the top 10. Last time it was in 7th position, now it is in 10th. It's just barely holding on. We'll see how long that actually lasts. But with both Buddy Daddies and Nagatoro coming back on the list, that means we actually saw two things getting kicked off, which, if I recall correctly, was Bofuri and Bungo Stray Dogs Season 4, as those were 9th and 10th on the list, and now they have magically disappeared. Comparing all of the weeks entirely, it is kind of clear what is going to be fairly up there in the rankings, as the top 4-ish haven't really changed all that much. There's been minor shuffles here and there over the last 10 weeks, but largely they've stayed the same. It's the bottom end of the list that is far more interesting. Now, we're getting close to the end of the season, so we're going to be seeing how Anime Trending handles that and how we're going to handle that in comparison. And soon we will be looking at my own video as I have a gander at what I am still watching at the end of the season, which I've actually kept quite a lot of things, but I have dropped a number since our last video talking about the subject. So look forward to that in the coming weeks. And that's it for our show today. So subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, whenever that may be, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.